So today I'm joined in the studio with Max, founder of Max Performance Coaching. Today we're going to do a deep dive and we're just going to talk a little bit more on, I guess, a lot of what you're coaching, what you're teaching about when it comes to maximizing performance, specifically for those who are business owners or career driven professionals where, having that edge is key. Like myself running an agency, everything is at the mercy of myself. So if I'm showing up every day and I'm, you know, not the ultimate version of me, or I'm, if I'm fatigued, if I'm tired, if I'm burnt out, I'm showing up as a lesser person of myself. And I fully own that. That's why I've worked with you now for nearly 8 months in the program, working with you to optimize my own health and fitness. So I think having been in the program and working with yourself, I think that really gives me just some really good insights to steer this conversation. So, for those watching this, maybe this is the first time they've come across you. Just give yourself a bit of an introduction. Who are you? What do you do?
Yes, my name's Max. I'm 28 years old. I'm the founder of Max Performance Coaching. One of the key things, like you just hit the nail on the head there, that we really focus on is helping career-driven professionals, business owners, execs. Ultimately, they've got it all in the sense of like they've got a thriving career. Potentially, they've got like family at home, etc. They've got that really nice house, nice car. They feel absolutely killing it when it comes to like their work and their business side of things. However, the one thing that they've sacrificed probably along the way, and the one thing they've given up on, is potentially their health. And what we do is basically build that bridge. They've probably tried loads of different programs. They've probably been in a place where they've been researching loads of different things around nutrition, around exercise, seeing like loads of influencers online, trying to follow those kind of programs, and ultimately not being able to do that because it's not tailored and specific to them. Max Performance Coaching was exactly that, designed to give you maximum performance, not only with your business, but also with your fitness. Those two very much go hand in hand. And we look to build that bridge for people.
Nice, man. Nice. So I guess I want this to be a bit of an A to Z. If someone's watching this and they want to pick up some wisdom, some knowledge, some ideas to kind of get them back on track and focused. I mean, that's really where I want to take this conversation. Before we get into some of the questions, I know for me, I started working with you not because I didn't know what to do,
Mm,
but because I wasn't doing it.
mm.
I knew some of the basics. I've got a background in health and fitness and coaching. So, yeah, like for me, the biggest part has been accountability. Has been that support system to, I guess, make sure I'm doing the work,
Mhm.
even when things get busy. And that was the toppling point for me. It's not out of lack of desire. It was when things get a bit mental with work, schedule gets pushed, maybe sleep get pushed. Having and recently had a son as well, so that new family dynamic, juggling it all was getting more and more difficult. And the common thing I would just always put on the back burner was my own health.
Mhm.
Right, no issues with knuckling down at work, and showing up in my relationship and as a dad, but yeah, it would be me that I'd be sacrificing ultimately.
Mm.
So let's say for someone watching this, maybe they're in a similar situation. Maybe it's not as extreme as that, or maybe it's more extreme than that. When it comes to coaching, what are you generally looking at? What are you generally helping people put in place? What are you trying to diagnose early on?
Mm.
Yeah, I just want to get your insights around that.
Yeah, so like the key thing that we do straight from the get-go is that we identify where that person is and understand what it is they want to do and what they want to achieve, but also who they want to become. Like, so the key thing that we do is that we run people through what we refer to as the NPC identity protocol. So essentially what that is, we ask three key questions. Who are they? Like, what's their current situation, and what do they want to be able to achieve? What do they need to be able to do in order to get to where they want to get to? And why is it important to them? Those are the three kind of key questions. Once we've got the identity and the vision down, it allows us to be able to move something forwards. Because ultimately, we used to say in enthusiasm, it's very common, but consistency is rare. You hit the nail on the head there. Like, a lot of people that come to us, it's not necessarily the case that they're not driven, they're not committed. In fact, it's the polar opposite. They are driven, they are committed. But the thing that they sacrifice as a result of that for their business is their own health and well-being. So, like I say, by having that clear identity with regards to where we want to be, who we want to become, and why it's important to us, it lays that framework, it lays that blueprint. Because once we've kind of got those foundations down, it means that we can move forward. So, like, you wouldn't go into a business situation or a meeting or a presentation or a pitch unprepared. The same emphasis has to be applied to your health and fitness. If you're not if you're not looking at like the blueprint and the foundations, you're basically throwing a dartboard at the bullseye with a blindfold on in a dark room. You're not going to hit it, or very, very rarely you're going to hit it. And consistently being able to do that, that's another thing. So, that's the clear thing that we do with a lot of people that come on board to begin with, is that we identify where they are now, where they want to go, why is it important? And then we lay the framework from there.
I could probably talk a lot about the program, and maybe I will at some points in this podcast. Um, but from your perspective, just for those watching this right now, give us a peek behind the curtain. Generally, when someone works with you, let's say maybe over a 12-week period, what are the changes generally you're going to put in place with their routine to help them, help them lose weight, help them get in shape, help them, start becoming the person they want to become?
Yeah, of course. So, initially, straight from the get-go, we look at that person's schedule. We understand their time schedules in terms of like, what their day-to-day life looks like. Like you mentioned for yourself, Josh, like, you've got a family at home, you've got a relationship, you've got a new son. You've obviously got those time commitments on top of everything else. So that's the first thing that we do. So we look at someone's schedule. We understand essentially what time they have available in order to be able to commit to exercise. We make these training systems and put those in place for people, whereby, making sure that they're able to get the movement, get the exercise in, whether it be 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. If someone's able to commit longer than that, amazing. By factoring that in, not only does it allow the person to move more, which will increase their metabolism, increase their metabolic rate, which is going to keep them overall healthier for longer, it also allows them to reduce their stress levels. For business owners like yourself, it's very much the case. We see people coming in, like we say, they're thriving in business and they're thriving in their career, but they're constantly up here in terms of their stress. Mate, that's just going to like dig you an early grave, in the sense of you're always just pushing the button at all times without giving anything back to yourself. You're going to be pouring from an empty cup. You're going to be in a really, really heightened and inflammatory state. So one of the key things that we look, not only from like the exercise point of view, but also the mindset point of view, being able to prioritize your wellness, your feeling of self-worth, doing these kind of things, investing into that on top of nutrition, making sure that you're fueling for performance. You perform in your business, you want to perform elsewhere as well. Do you know what I mean? Your health and fitness is going to be a direct carryover with that. So those are the kind of like three things we look at: movement, mindset, nutrition. Once we get those kind of foundations set and things that we can consistently keep doing, that's where the gold is.
I think one of the excuses I had for a very long time, and it's kind of funny to say it out loud at this point, but it was obviously like fatigued. It's like you work hard, you juggle a lot, you come home, by the end of the day, I'd be fried.
Yeah.
And I'd be sat down, just kind of want to switch off, even though you don't really get to switch off with like a 1-year-old. Like, but like you kind of want to relax and wind down. And the idea of going and doing a workout or something like that would just be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But it's this, I heard this phrase where it's like, you're not exercising because you're tired, but you're tired because you're not exercising.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's kind of that like that sticky situation where until you actually do it, nothing's going to change. And for me, making movement a commitment, even like the morning walks for me have been amazing, especially when we've had some good weather in the UK. It's, it's nice to see the sunrise come up. But that has been a game changer. And I think sometimes the simple things we overlook, or the simple things we don't do, which is why for me, working with yourself and having you as a coach, like, it's not just the knowledge, it's the accountability. Like for me, just that check-in. I remember about 2 weeks ago now, I was on a shoot, which was a very early start. It was a long day. And I remember telling you, because I had like 4 hours sleep. And I think one of the things you literally said was just to make sure like you drink some more water and make sure you get some healthy food in. And I was like, literally at that moment, kind of questioning, do I go to like McDonald's or something like that? Because like energy's dipping, starting to feel fatigued. I'm like, obviously easy. And I think this was actually a big problem for me, was like seeing food as pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You use food to switch off, to wind down, and changing that viewpoint of what food is. And obviously, like, you enjoy food and food is nice, but should you be using food as a reward every day? And like for me, no, because that's what has made me put weight on over time. So working with you to just to reinforce these beliefs, reinforce these habits, I think has been a big game changer. So going behind the curtain as well, like, what's your general philosophy when it comes to training? I know for yourself, you've got quite a a mixed background. You had an athletic upbringing in
Mm.
sports. I think initially you didn't like the gym, then you got into the gym, and then you've done a lot of uh, CrossFit style training,
Yeah.
competition. So you're quite big, or I know for you personally, you like to train in that manner. But I guess when you're working with different people, like for me, I'm not someone who's like, I want to do a CrossFit competition.
Yeah, no, of
I'm
course.
not somebody who wants to do a high rocks competition. I mean, I'm not really on that vibe. I want to be fit, healthy, and strong, but
Yeah, yeah,
not really about that. So how does, I guess with your interests and maybe someone watching this who maybe fits outside of those interests,
yeah.
how does that shape your philosophy when you're coaching someone?
Yeah, so the philosophy that we adopt is like, we refer to it as the max performance training system. Essentially, the way that we look at it is that we adopt, you know, high intensity, like workouts within a short time domain. Nobody wants to be spending like an hour, potentially more than that, inside of a gym. Like you just said, there are a lot of people that we work with are in exactly the same position as yourself. They're running businesses, might be the case they've got family at home. And like, they get to the end of the day and they're feeling absolutely toasted. Do you know what I mean? The last thing on their mind is like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to nip to the gym. I'm going to have an hour there. They just don't have that time. It's just
Yeah.
literally not sustainable. It's something that they can't do. So I designed something referred to as the max performance training system, whereby, you can get the benefits of like an hour workout within like a 15-minute window. So, the potentially that is at home, that is doing high impact body weight movements. All the stuff that we do for a lot of our clients is video demonstrated. So they're not in a place where they're having to research stuff, It's all on one platform. So it's easy to follow. The more bottlenecks and more hurdles that there are in place, the more likely you are that you're not going to do it. Do you know what I mean? So we look to eradicate that, take that out, eliminate that excuse essentially to be like, right, this is where we can get maximum amount of results in such minimal time.
Yeah.
And that's what we focus on with the people that we work with, because like I said, there's so many programs out there. It's absolutely saturated. That like you pop on Instagram, you type in workout, you all from now on, all of your algorithm is just filled with loads of coaches trying to sell you something that's just not sustainable. The problem isn't the person. It isn't the person who's consuming that content. It's the fact that that content itself is not designed for that person.
Mm.
So, by being personable, by understanding that person's needs, by formulating a workout schedule that works for them, that they can do, whether it be at a gym, at home, or wherever it is. And it could even look like going for walks, like yourself, getting out and about. Not only does wonders for your mindset and your stress levels, but it just gets the body moving.
Mm.
And this is the issue. Like, you're not alone. 90%, I would quite comfortably say 90% of people are in exactly the same position as you who are a business owner. They're giving absolutely everything in every direction. And the one thing that they're not doing is giving back to themselves. And how can you pour from an empty cup? It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
So, by fueling back into yourself, by, having those training systems in place that make it attainable, make it achievable, impossible for you to fail,
Yeah.
that's where we strive towards.
Yeah. I've worked with quite a few different coaches over the years with different kind of, guess, different approaches. Some have been very heavily into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I've worked with some coaches where I'm not discrediting them and, loved working with them, but a lot of times the workload for the exercise, like in terms of what was programmed for me, it would just burn me out.
Yeah.
Like it was just too much workload. And sometimes to the detriment of putting me off going in. Like if I've got a really busy week, the idea to then go in and spend 5 hours in the gym, plus my time traveling, getting
Yeah.
ready, all that sort of stuff, is like that became the bottleneck. Whereas I know working with you, oftentimes it's do what you can.
Yeah.
It's flexible. You've adapted programs based on where I'm going to be training in the gym, where I'm going to be training at home. But I also think there's so many. If someone's watching this and you're in a similar spot, like I was in a similar spot, sometimes you might think, well, I can do it myself.
Mm.
And for a good few months, I was kind of saying to you, I'm just going to keep trying to,
Yeah.
I feel like I know what I need to do. I just, I just need to do it. And I'd start and I'd stop and I'd start and I'd stop. And I think it's like most things in life. I'm a big advocate of having coaches, having people in your corner to support you. And not because you can't do it yourself. I think if you really wanted to, there's a lot of things in life that you can go out if you're that way inclined. But it's like, why make life harder?
Yeah.
Like, why would you play it the hard way? I
Mm.
think it's like, I'm a big believer in like work hard, work smart.
Mm.
So if I can do something that's going to speed up my ability to shift my habits or to speed up a result or may even make the process easier,
Mm.
more enjoyable. I feel like sometimes with our chats when we catch up, you know, on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's just unpacking the week,
Yeah,
right? It's just
that's it.
unpacking the week, what's happened, refocusing for the week ahead. Um, and I know without that, you kind of trying to do that yourself, or you're not doing it. You know,
Mm.
you don't check in with yourself. You just go into week to next week.
Mhm.
And I think the other, like, the biggest thing that's been a catalyst for not letting things fade away is knowing that if I have a really busy week and I've maybe dropped the ball on some of the habits, right? Some of the habits that I'm, you know, working on, whether that's how I'm structuring my food intake, such as prepping my meals for the week. And if I've not done that, and then if I've not got some of my workouts in that initially I wanted to, but things have happened where I haven't,
Mm.
because I'm checking in with you, it's like the most amount of damage is going to be a week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that check-in at that next point is going to be literally reviewing what's been done. And if
Yeah.
I've not done the work and I've not done stuff, and you're very much like, okay, well, let's, you know, you bring focus and attention back to it. And I think
Mhm.
that is I personally think that's where I get a lot of the value.
Mm.
And that's someone with a background in health and fitness. So I
Mhm.
think if you're coming into a program where you have limited knowledge, you know, you have limited knowledge on exercise prescription or how you should, you know, what workouts you should do, what you should be eating, then you're going to learn so much,
Mm.
because there is a lot to this. There is a lot to transforming the body on a metabolic level, to a mental level. I guess to help some people, you know, make some informed decisions. What do you think keeps most people stuck? Like, someone watching this, why are they not happy in their body, or why are they working hard but still drained? Like, what's going on?
They convince themselves that they can fix it. Like that's literally the answer. You know, they are consistently sticking with the same thing over and over again, and they don't do that in their business.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If something doesn't work and they're spending money on it, what do? The first thing
adapt
you
it.
do,
Yeah,
you
fix it.
change it.
Yeah,
You change it. But when it comes to the health and fitness, because it's an area that they're not familiar with, or it might even be the case that they are familiar with it and they're in such a routine or a habit with it, they just consistently keep doing that same
do
thing.
you know what I think though? I think I mean, maybe some people might relate to this, but mine wasn't. At first, I think when you're like, right, I'm gonna refocus, I'm gonna start that diet, or I'm gonna take control of my shit. There's a belief, right?
Yeah.
Do the work and make it happen. But then I think what I found over time is the belief of being able to make it work starts to fade away.
Mm.
Because if you do feel like you've got the knowledge, right, and you do feel like you know what you should be doing, but you're not doing it, you then start to internalize that and think like, well, maybe it's just not possible right now,
Yeah.
right? Maybe things are just a bit too mental.
Hmm.
Maybe I do need to wait till things calm down. Um, and like what I found is like, well, that's just not true, because when do things calm down? Like,
Exactly what I was
like
about to
when
say.
does that happen? Because even when you have a bit of breathing room, like maybe you calm down and you go have your holiday, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't enjoy the holiday because, you know, you're not really wearing the clothes that you wanted to wear, or, you know, you're a bit more conscious around the swimming pool. And even if you're not conscious, maybe you're someone who doesn't really care and you just get on with it. You come back from that holiday and you're back into everything again,
Hmm.
right? The game starts all over again. So for me, my biggest objection when I was initially, you know, considering working with you was just like, how do we make this work?
Mm.
Because this is my life. This
Mm.
is what's going on. These
Mhm.
are the challenges. How do we do it? And I remember like it was partly trust, right? It was partly just trusting your judgment and you saying, we'll make it work,
Mm.
right? We'll make it happen, and I've got you. Um, and you know, that was like 8 months ago now.
Mm.
And you know, for me, it is just very much now habitual. It's not. I wouldn't say I've perfected anything. Life hasn't changed
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Same.
Life
If
got
anything, it's
busier.
probably
It's
busier.
got
Yeah.
busier. Life got busier. But it's made me more disciplined in certain things. It's made me, you know, used to getting up even earlier. It's made me more regimented with supplementation. I think sleep, actually, I think beyond everything,
Mm.
improving my sleep has probably been the thing I think I've been most consistent with.
Mm.
Because I realize, like, me personally, and this is probably the same for a lot of people, it's really difficult to do all the other stuff if your sleep's not dialed in. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
if you've got a busy workload, busy schedule, lots of demands, and then you're trying to add more workload into that, whether it be, you know, training, exercise, you can't do that if you're deprived of sleep.
Yeah.
So I know if I guard my sleep and try and work on improving that, um, I start the day
Yeah.
cup full.
Yeah, 100%. Even you just touching on there, and like, I've come from a place where I neglected sleep. Like
Mm.
100% was in a place where I thought, you know what? All the time that I'm working, I'm being productive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all the time that I'm working, I'm making money. All the time that I'm working, I'm bettering myself. But I've come from a background where I worked in the emergency services for 5 years. Sleep was a rarity. Like
Yeah.
you're probably getting off late. Might be the case that you're going in really early doors again. But not only that, with just running my business as well, you're at your laptop. It's like, you're looking at your watch, and it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. It's like, oh, I'll go for another half hour. Well, that half an hour creeps into an hour. Then
Yep.
it's an hour and a half. Then it's 2 hours. Before you know it, potentially your partner, if you're living with your partner, if you've got a partner, they've gone to bed. You're still sat at your laptop. You've not spent any time with them. You're consistently looking at a screen, which is going to inhibit your sleep. Like it's going to have a problem. And next morning, guess what? You wake up, you feel exactly what you just clarified there. You're feeling burnt out. You're feeling like a little bit brain fogged. Do you know what I mean? And you're reaching for that coffee, potentially multiple of those. Do you know what I mean? That fizzy drink, those packet of crisps, whatever it is, in order to try and medicate that and
Yeah.
try and get you throughout the course of the day. But the problem is you're just going to be in a consistent cycle and a consistent flow of making these not so good choices, which are going to have such a detrimental impact on your health, not only physically, but mentally. So like, that's why I designed the max performance sleep system. It's like we follow like a really kind of like step-by-step process with regards to this. We're products of environment, so making sure that you've got blackout blinds. The room that you use for sleeping, your bedroom, is for that. It's
Yeah.
sleep. You do not cross that border with work. You don't take your laptop in there. You don't take your phone in there.
Mhm.
And if you are taking your phone in there, it's on do not disturb. You're putting it face down. You're not doom
Yeah.
scrolling. So then it's not affecting your melatonin productions, which directly impacts your sleep. But also, not only that, we've then got the 3-2-1 method. So 3 hours before bed, we're making sure that we're stopping eating. So it's not going to keep you like with massive energy and carbohydrates, obviously spiking your energy levels, your sugar levels. For 2 hours before bed, making sure that minimal water, minimal drink, minimal fluid going to bed. And then 1 hour before, phones down, electronics down. That's the 3-2-1 method that we've applied. I've applied it for all the clients that I'm working with. It really has helped them with sleep quality. But not only that, then also looking at, making sure that we're doing everything else around that: a good
Mhm.
nutrition, good training, moving well, etc. Because again, that's going to put you into a really good place. And do you know what, for me, and one thing that I advise my clients to do is, at the end of a long day, take a warm shower or a warm bath before bed. That's
Mhm.
going to raise your body temperature. So as soon as you step out, your body temperature is then going to be lowered. That primes your body to go to bed.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So those three kind of things is what I've been advising my clients to do. I've tried and tested it. Also supplementing.
Yeah.
I've tried magnesium glycinate, scientifically researched supplement to help with sleep quality, sleep depth.
I noticed a huge. I've been a big advocate for magnesium for a long time now.
Yeah, like 100%. It's literally revolutionized my sleep. Like it literally has. But that's what we do. That's what we do with our clients, because like you just said there, how can you expect to perform, turn up, show up, not just turn up, but show up? There's a
Mm.
difference. Turning up, being there present, showing up, having the energy to bring stuff and bring it to the table. How are you meant to do that if you're not sleeping? How are you meant to do that if you're not recovering?
Yeah.
Your business is going to suffer because you're suffering.
What I will add to that though is when you're ticking the boxes in other areas, and let's say you're someone who pushes the boundaries, like if you're like someone who's quite ambitious with what you can achieve and what you can do, right? Someone who's willing to work hard. I've definitely found that sometimes sleep, as much as I try to optimize for it, sometimes sleep takes the hit. Like that example where I said I was literally had to be up on set,
Mm,
super early start, and that impacted sleep. So I couldn't get, my sleep routine was not used to getting to sleep at the time required to be. I'm like to get 8 hours in. But when you're on it, you're more mentally alert to deal with these demands as well.
mm,
And I think for most people, they're not in a situation. They're at a situation where they're probably at the capacity.
yeah.
And my passion, and when I started working with you, like one of the big things for me was I want to expand my capacity.
Yes.
It's like it's not because I'm trying to do less. It's like I want the ability to do more.
Yes.
Right. So the ability to work harder, work smarter, be more productive, be more
Mm,
effective, And I think it all compounds. All of these things play into part when you're training, when you are eating better, when you're sleeping better, when you're supplementing, when you are, and I think like above all of that, I'll go into it, but like when you're doing all of that stuff, but you're continually refocusing. I'll bring
Yes.
it back to this accountability thing because I think that is, if you've worked with PTs where you go in the gym and you might train them twice a week,
Yeah.
right? And then you leave and it's like, well, what are you doing in all the other hours of the week?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you sign up to an app, right? I've signed up to so many different things where I log in, use it, then don't use it again.
Mm.
For me, that stuff is helpful, but it's the accountability piece to just keep on track. And I
Mm.
think the more you go down the rabbit hole, maybe someone looking in and hearing this stuff might think, oh, that's a lot, right? It's
Mm.
like most things. The process of mastery is not something that you don't just arrive at it.
No.
It's something that's built over time.
Yeah.
And I think that is why the accountability piece, that is why the coaching piece is so important because, to be honest, if your life's really busy and you've got lots of stuff going on, you're not going to have the bandwidth to hold yourself accountable to put all these changes in place.
Mhm.
You almost need someone to come in and like force that change. And I
Yeah.
think that's working with you that is the catalyst. That is
Mm.
it forces you to do the work because you've got someone there in your corner guiding you through the process, checking in through the process. So when you do make a mistake, it's not a mistake that turns into 3 months of not doing anything, right? It's a week at most.
Yeah.
Um, what would you like to share today? Like we've gone down a few rabbit holes, but I guess you work with lots of business owners, high performers, professionals. I know you've worked with doctors, dentists, scientists.
Yeah.
You've actually got quite a really interesting client base of very successful people or very ambitious people. So with those in mind, giving away some of the gold today, giving away some of the, actionable pieces, what do you think those on the other side of this need to hear? What do you think is going to help them watch this video and then start making changes and being like, yeah, I'm getting my life back on track?
Yeah, no, and like even just going back to what you just said in terms of like, making these changes, shape shifting, basically stepping into where you want to get to. One of the things that we do with everyone that comes on board is that we look at what we refer to as the pain to power to continuum. They're in a position of pain. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, if you're not happy with where you're at, might be the way that you look in the mirror, clothes fitting. You might be the case that, you're spending more and more money on new clothes, your favorite shirts, favorite suits, favorite dress, whatever it is, that's stored on the back end of the cupboard. It might be the case that you're constantly feeling burnt out. If you're not happy, something has to change.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? And like I've had so many conversations with so many different people, and it's like, they've been in the same place, not just for a couple of weeks. This has been their life.
months, years.
Months, years, looking it back in the rearview mirror and being like, nothing's changed.
Mm,
They're in exactly the same position, but they're not happy. And it blows my mind because it's like, if you're not happy, how can you show up? How
yeah.
can you show up for like your business, your career?
I think people play it down. Like from my own experience, like I wouldn't say before working with you I was unhappy,
Yeah.
right? But I probably just wasn't facing it as much.
Well, you probably make the other things a bigger priority, right?
Yeah.
You tell yourself that these other things are a bigger
Yeah.
priority, when actually in reality is actually your health should be first.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to show up in those other areas,
Mm,
you've got to be okay.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's because if you're not okay, you're juggling at the best of times.
Yeah.
How are you meant to do that if you're absolutely wiped out?
I think some of the wake up calls for me, like there's knowing that you get into the end of the day and your head's just kind of like mush.
Yes.
It's definitely been like, yeah, which actually is really rare for me now. Like even if I have a really intense day, like I'd like to think I'm still pretty present when I come home, and I'm still
Effort.
still getting on with stuff around the house, still still involved with the family, still doing what I feel I should do. Um, but I remember, yeah, loads of times where I was just like, I just need to sit down and I need like 30, 60 minutes to myself, which is impossible when you've got a child. Like
Yeah.
that was like a big reality shift.
Yeah.
It's like you come home from work and then I'm there for my son and I want to be there for my son. It's not, I don't want to be there. So you don't get that time off. And so that was a reality check, right? I don't really want to be feeling drained like this. Like I shouldn't feel this drained is literally like the narrative going on in my head. Like I shouldn't be this tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I think the thing that you numb and you play down is probably the weight gain.
Yeah.
So for me, you creep up in clothes. I just get a slightly larger fit, right?
Yeah.
Slightly baggier fit, oversized fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got to this point where I realized like a lot of my like fitted clothes didn't actually like was like not even didn't fit anymore, like completely didn't fit. You know what I mean? I'm like putting on a shirt and it's like to do it up, it's coming to here.
Yeah.
Or you go into trying on outfits and you're in the changing room and you're like, because of the lighting in the mirrors, I'm just like, holy shit, when did I get this back?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do I part my partner? I'm like, why did you let me get this fat? Like, what the fuck is going on here? So I think they're like the reality checks. But I think when you're busy and in the thick of it, you kind of get numb to that because you're kind of hiding from it. Maybe
Yeah.
not consciously, like
Yeah.
you're just not really giving it focus and attention.
Yeah.
But then when I think you start to give it attention and then you're like, all right, you face that, like you say with the pain to power, it's facing the current reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when you start awakening to it. You
Mm.
start like, oh shit, yeah, I am like 2 stone heavier
Mm.
than I was last year. Like this is a problem.
Yeah.
Or
That's
this is something that I want to change, right?
yeah.
This isn't the ultimate version of me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key layer to what we do. You have to be accepting of where you are.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? Because like if you are trying to convince yourself that, it's okay and stuff like this, no one can help you.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? You can't even help yourself. Do you know what I
mm.
mean? So acceptance is always the first layer to everything. And then it comes into our next layer of that continuum is being open to change.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have to be if your current reality is not serving you, it's not getting you to where you want to get to, then you have to be open to changes. It's the same thing in business. If you make an investment, it's not working. Are you going to still pile money into that investment?
Yeah.
Of course you're not.
No.
It's exactly the same thing when it comes to your health and fitness. Do you know what I mean? Like, if something's not working, if you're putting on the weight, clothes aren't fitting anymore, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling tired, you're not moving enough, then you've got to be open to change. And then that layers into our commitment and then our accountability layers. For a lot of people that we work with, commitment's not the issue. It's what degree they put that commitment in or what avenue they're putting that commitment to. Do you know what I mean? And it might be, they're doing that with their business, but are they doing with their health? No. And for a lot of people, they're not. And that's, again, like you've spoken about consistently throughout this, is that the accountability system that we put in place makes it impossible for people to fail. They're checking in with us regularly. For like some of the clients we work with, we're talking to them daily. That could be over a phone call, over a text message. They could be on the other side of the world. We've got clients in Dubai, overseas, etc. We're working in different time zones, but they're still showing up. They're still getting the results. They're still making these things happen. It's because everything's personalized to them and we bring it back to that identity. Where are we? Who are we? Where do we want to go? Why is it important? And by having those three kind of key pillars and understanding what we need to do in order to get there, like, you can have it all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Kind of like for me this is not new because I've been in the space a long time and fascinated with philosophy for a long time and mindset. But the more you go down the rabbit hole of it, it's almost like inception, right? The shift happens within. And I think when you're holding on to this idea that you can't, right, that it's not possible, you're immediately letting go of the even potential to create change. And I think that's where a lot of people are at, to be honest. I think sometimes it is just belief. It is like, do they think it's possible? And then I think there's like this element of people burnt by experiences. So, maybe they went on a really strict diet. Maybe they did lose a bit of weight. Maybe they rebounded because they just went straight back to old habits and they put the weight back on again. Or they did something strict, lost a bit of weight, wasn't sustainable, wasn't something that worked for them. So again, naturally, obviously you rebound and then you create this idea like, well, I can't do that. That's not possible. I don't have the energy. And that's literally like what I had. I'm like, I remember saying to you, I'm like, I can't cut my carbohydrates because I just know if I'm like super low carb, I'm not going to have the mental energy. And I knew that I couldn't just ramp up my cardio and my training because I had done periods where I was boxing a few times a week, I was lifting a few times a week, doing cardio, and it was great when I was doing it. But then I was also having to like take naps during the day, right? Like that was at a time in my life where I'd more flexibility with my work schedule. So I didn't have to work as much. I was in a really good situation where, time freedom was higher. But now I'm like, no, I can't take naps during the day.
No,
Like,
no, no.
I got stuff to do. Every meetings, I got work. There's stuff that needs to be done. Like, that's not possible. So I was very much guarded of like what I couldn't do and what wasn't possible. But yeah, like for me, I'm obviously a huge advocate. We're here today. We're doing this podcast. We're talking through it. I think if you're on the fence, or if you're looking for someone to help you to get back in shape, right, and actually do it in a holistic way, then if you want to work with someone that's got your back, someone that's gonna take the time to understand you and not just be like, here's your program, here's your diet plan, then Max Performance Coaching is like designed for you. And I kind of think it's a bit of a secret weapon. I think if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or I think everyone's going to say they're busy with work, because most people are really busy with work.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think if you're someone that's inclined where like you're busy with work, but you're that kind of person who wants to always push the boundaries, like you're probably busy with work, but like you have high ambition to keep driving and growing that vehicle, where that work volume's probably not going to change. It might increase
Yep.
over time. Then like having a coach like yourself is kind of a no-brainer. I think if someone's a bit foreign to coaching, because for me, I've had coaches, mentors. I'm very used to investing in other experts to get their guidance, get their support. What would you say to someone that's maybe not used to having a coach? Like maybe they're not used to investing in themselves in that way. Like, what's your philosophy around that? What's your focus around that?
So in terms of like what we're saying here, like is it the sense of like has that person tried stuff, or is it the case that they're brand new into this kind of?
I guess maybe for someone that's looking at, I think most people are they're going to have this idea that they want to get in shape, right? They might want to get stronger, fitter, lose a certain amount of weight, get leaner, all of these kind of characteristics. But the idea of hiring someone that's going to coach them online, that might be new to them, right? That might be something that's like, how does that work? I guess what would you say to someone like that, for someone that's new to this world?
Yeah, so like someone that's brand new, kind of like coming into this kind of like system of investing into their health and fitness, it's not uncommon that that person potentially has tried different programs that are available. But the issue with those programs that are online, etc., potentially they've watched a few YouTube workouts, they might have even stepped inside the gym, seen a few things that other people are doing, try and testing them. The issue is those are always going to have a limit. Do you know what I mean? Because ultimately, depending on that person's individual situation, it's different to yours, it's different to mine, it's different to like the person that's inside the gym, etc. And they're convincing themselves that these things are going to take them from where they are now to where they believe that they can get to. But ultimately, they're being set up for failure in that sense, because it's not tailored to them. It's not specific to them. They're going to reach bottlenecks. And then, like you just said there, they're going to get to a point where they convince themselves that this stuff's not possible, because they're trying everything, but it's not working. But ultimately, like you just said there, for us as a business, what we do is we take all that responsibility away from them. They've already got so much on their plate. They don't need another thing on top of everything else. Do you know what I mean? Their cup is already full. It's overspilling potentially. So, taking their health and their fitness away from them in terms of being like, right, we're gonna direct
that.
we're gonna manage that for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna take that weight away from you. We're gonna direct you. Do you know what I mean? That's not a fault on them. That's not showing that they're weak. If anything, it's actually showing, do you know what? This is better in someone else's hands.
Smarter.
It's yeah, exactly. It's working smarter, not harder.
It's like business and building a team. It's like delegating.
Exactly. Being a solo band,
Yeah.
you're going to have a cap. Do you know what I mean? And I've experienced this personally. You're going to have a limitation. There's only so many hours in a day. How are you meant to build on that unless you're broadening your horizons, looking at potential outlets, being like, okay, do you know what? This person's got my back for this. Do you know what I mean? The health and fitness side of things. And, once you've kind of got all those foundations down, it's going to allow you to elevate. It's going to allow you to move forwards. It's going to allow you to progress. It's going to allow you to transform into this new, better, more efficient version of you.
Mm,
You know, like for me personally, when I started out in the gym, I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
mm,
I didn't have a clue. I watched other people thinking, oh, if I do this exercise, I'm going to look like that.
mm,
Little did I know that person spending, you know, their whole day inside the gym environment. That's what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? All the time. They don't have other external potential commitments outside of that. They might not have like, you know, partners, family at home, etc. That might just be their thing. They might have the flexibility to be able to do that throughout the course of the day. Not everyone's got that.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And everyone's made differently. Everyone's got different situations. And that's one of my biggest frustrations being a health and fitness coach is when I look on Instagram, there's so many people doing the same thing, selling this next best thing to people in the hope that people buy it.
Mm,
And then ultimately, you know, they don't actually truly care whether or
yeah.
not you get there or not because they got your money.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? You mentioned it previously in terms of like the programs and stuff like that they sign up to. Do you know what they're hoping for? 9 times out of 10, they are hoping that you sign up and you forget about that direct debit.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? And they're just waiting for that money to come through. And it's the same for gyms. How many people sign up to a gym but don't use the
don't go,
membership?
yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like that's how that business thrives.
I think there's, I mean, even in this topic of like what people are spending money on and they're not really utilizing that investment, like the amount of people I spoke to where they've bought pretty expensive bikes, right? They bought
Yeah.
kits. I'm trying to think of, there's a certain brand I'm thinking of where it just becomes a bit of a clothesline. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
in the corner, but like, yeah, people kitting out their homes with equipment, not using it.
Mm.
Sign up to subscriptions, not using them. Um, that's why like I'll bang on it over and over again. Like for someone that's looking for help and want to take it seriously and actually like, ultimately just want to get results for that time in, it's like there's nothing better than having someone in your corner for that support and accountability.
Mm.
You can probably learn a lot of the stuff online if
Mm.
you want to spend all the time fact checking, cross referencing, researching, trial and error, you know, do this, do that. But if you actually just want to plan and actually want to get the results by implementing it, well, delegate that responsibility, delegate that
Mm.
responsibility to someone to actually support you.
Yeah. And just to even add to that, like Josh, is that you know there's so many people that feel like, or health and fitness coaches that preach that they've you know they've got this amazing package, whatever it is, that's going to get you this next best thing. But the problem is none of it's led by actual facts,
Mm,
science. What we do is scientifically led. It's done through trial and error. I've been there. Do you know what I mean? So everything I've done, everything that all the philosophies that we adhere to is not only done through trial and error for me from me personally, it's all scientifically led. Do
mm,
you know what I mean? I would not preach something or give something to someone that I wouldn't do myself.
yeah,
Because, like I say, for me, my health and fitness, not only, you know, for me personally, my health and fitness, that's my business.
yeah,
That's what I do. Do you know what I mean? In the same way for like, you know, with what you do for a living, what everyone does for a living in terms of who works for us, you want to be the best at what you can do and what the best at your deliverables. We're the same.
mm,
We're constantly learning, we're constantly researching, we're constantly testing. You know, we're always looking for that next edge because we want to make sure that, you know, for me personally, but not like we're always pushing that extra mark, that extra boundary, going that extra step. That's what you expect from your business and what you're doing personally. We do exactly the same thing.
mm,
And, you know, we work with men, women from all different types of backgrounds, you know, whether that be health and fitness background, no health and fitness experience whatsoever, a sport background, you know, potentially they've never even stepped foot inside of a gym, never even broached the subject of doing it, you know, and by researching and doing everything, like I say, scientifically led, testing and proving this kind of stuff, we're able to best direct people.
mm,
We're not setting you up for failure. We're there with you throughout the thick of it.
mm,
And if something doesn't work, we address it because it's
yeah,
not a one size fits all kind of thing.
yeah,
You know, you might not get the golden nugget straight away, but we don't abandon you.
yeah,
We stick with you throughout that entire time to get you from point A to point B. And do you know what? Once we've hit point B, what's point C?
yeah.
You know, and like we're consistently moving that.
I think for me, like having a background in health and fitness, like being a personal trainer and, you know, way back in the day now, I
Yeah.
live a completely different life, to be honest. But I don't know. There's something I judge coaches on is their own movement.
Mm, mm.
To be honest, like
Of course you do.
my partner was watching
So you should.
you know, like And I don't mean that in a judgmental way, even though I'm using the word judgment, but it's like when someone's coaching people and their squat is
Mm.
terrible,
Yeah,
or like, the amount of people doing workouts online and they're doing a kettlebell swing.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, and I just think that one of the things and one of the areas like particularly respect you and chose you as a coach is you understand the mechanics, you understand the movement, you understand, it's not just trying to get someone to sweat.
Mm.
It's actually like mechanically get them moving well, get them moving properly, get them teaching people to train, which might not be someone's interest at the start, but I know for you, you've had a lot of clients that over time, they come in on a weight loss goal and then it turns into I want to do a pull up, and then it turns into I want to be able to do a muscle up, and their goals expand, the ability and the maybe even like the focus changes because they go from wanting to be in shape and feel more energetic and confident to what can I do? What's my human potential?
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
Can I do that? Can I do that? I don't know. Might be a marathon, might be a competition, might
Mm.
be whatever feat of strength or fitness. But yeah, that's like another area of me of choosing you as a coach is just the holisticness and understanding and,
Mm.
you know, again, moving well and,
Mm.
and teaching people to move well.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of coaches out there that have taken a route of they've lost some weight themselves
Mm.
and now they're an expert at helping people lose weight. And I
Yeah.
think that that's not the same thing.
No.
Not to take away from people that do that, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5, putting you on the spot. What are what's 5 pieces of advice that you want to finish this session off? Like 5, doesn't nothing specific, just 5 anecdotes, 5 bits of wisdom that
Mm.
someone watching this to summarize right now can take on board.
Yeah. So like, one of the key things that I'd definitely say is move. Do you know what I mean? Move your body. You probably sat down at your desk for large periods of time. Might be the case that you're in front of the computer system for large periods of time as well. Doing work late into the day. You've probably, looking at your watch, you haven't moved for like
Yeah.
3-4 hours. It's going to slow your metabolism, slow your metabolic rate, which is your ability to burn calories while still at rest. So move your body,
Yeah.
even if it's just a quick walk.
That's one.
Yeah, that would be number one. Number one. Number two, fuel your body with good food.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sounds ridiculous and sounds like base level.
And I think most people, to generalize, but if you like, well, what's good food? I think most people have a good idea of what good food is, right?
Hand on heart, we know what's right and wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people know what good food
they,
is.
They do. Yeah, exactly right. And it's not that we're not unaware of those things. We just do what's easy. Do you know what I mean? Think of it as like petrol or like diesel putting it into your car. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're putting a low quality fuel into your car, it's going to suffer. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to run as well. So it's exactly the same thing with your body. Fuel for performance. That will be one of my key steers with regards to anything. Feeling more energized, you're going to be more present on a day-to-day basis. Number 3, I'd say sleep.
Yeah.
We've already touched on that. The importance, significance of that. Not only does it lower stress levels, which is going to reduce your cortisol levels. So, cortisol is that stress hormone. It retains body fat. It's going to allow you to turn up more focused.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So like that would be another key thing. Number 4, I would definitely say like having an accountability system in place.
Okay.
So you've hit this consistently throughout the course of this.
Yeah, it's the game changer for me.
It's the game changer. Yeah, exactly right. You're in a place whereby you've probably tried doing it yourself.
I don't need all the extra work and bandwidth allocated to figuring stuff out. And for me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, 100.
5.
And number 5, drink more water. It sounds so simple, but one of the key things that I advocate a lot of my clients to do is to have a bottle with a straw on their desk. It sounds ridiculous, but a bottleneck, like having like a twisting bottle, it's a hurdle, and it's such a first world problem. But like even for me personally, by having a straw on my desk with a cup, I drink more. Drinking more water, it's going to lower like the inflammatory state of your body, reflecting back onto those cortisol levels that we've spoken about, getting into a good habit of drinking water as soon as you get up. That's just what I do, get into a habit of it. I've got a glass on the side. As soon as I get up, I'm going into the kitchen. I'm filling up that glass of water. down in that. It's probably like 400 mils.
Yeah.
That's going to kickstart your metabolism, get everything flowing, you know, and then consistently doing that throughout the course of the day. Not only is that going to help you stay more focused, it's also going to help you like resist the urges of reaching for those unhealthy
Yeah.
snacks.
You probably feel less fatigued. I know for me, if I
Ah,
drink a lot of water, I
100%.
just feel
Yeah.
energized. Like, bonus on the water thing, like what's helped me is having like a good quality water filter.
Mm,
Like we've got like a really good like mineral filter system thing.
mm.
But that was a game changer
Yeah,
because otherwise I didn't really like tap water. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
I'm the same. So I've got
Or you
like
buy loads of bottled water and then you run out. So I'm like, no, good
well, you
water.
probably leave it somewhere as well,
Yeah,
right? You probably leave it in your car and it's inside of a package. So, like, you know, and again, it's those hurdles. The
yeah,
more bottlenecks that there are in place, the more hurdles there are in place, the less likely you are to do something. Like for me, I hate like, you know, water that's just been sitting there and it's like room temperature. It's disgusting.
hmm
So like for me personally, like cold water into a flask of some description, like I say, my one's got a straw in it. It keeps it cold throughout the course of the day. It fits into my car. It goes everywhere with me. So
hmm
it's like, you know, if it doesn't fit into your car, and again, that's another bottleneck. If it doesn't fit into your car, where are you likely to leave it? At home? Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? So like having it somewhere whereby, or having something that you can take consistently with you, it's always with you. Yeah, it's going to help you prevent snacking, but also it's going to keep you mentally focused. And also, yeah, it's going to be better for your body. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
What you're putting into your body is going to directly influence how you feel. So yeah.